welcome to Angling For You. Today you join me with another review of this time the MAP 501 2G series. You may have seen a couple of my other videos. I've done the 101 MAP 2G, and I've also bought myself the 401. Now Matt Richardson's kindly lent me this one to have a look at, and we'll join him on the box with a bit later on to see how he's getting on with it. So package wise, very similar to the 401 in regards to the package, apart from this is a 16 metre and not a 14.5 metre like the 401 is. So as you can see, again like the 401 and all the 2G range, comes with one of these MAP holdalls with a competition 2G series right on the side of them. When opening it, like the other one, these are a couple of Matt's old tubes, but the tubes that come with it, the pole will come in its own 3 large tubes, and then it will have the 8 top kits and a cupping kit with it. It's got the 4 power kits and the 4 match kits with side pullers, with already pre-drilled side bushes reinforced, and bushes in the top as well, ready to be elasticated, ready to rock and roll. Obviously this is just sort of show you the bag. What we'll do is go around the pole itself, have a look at it, the graphics wise and what the sections look like, and I've laid it out on my rollers. Then what we'll do is put it onto 13 metres, and we'll lay it side by side on the rollers with the 401, just for you to have a comparison in difference in stiffness wise, and then we'll catch up with Matt a bit later on with him fishing it on his peg and see how he's doing with it. So join me in a couple of secs and we'll right guys, obviously standing side by side, obviously I've got the number 6 section here right up to the top kit on the far side, and then this is the reinforced mini section here, and that is attached into the 16 metre, which we'll move on to. So lovely graphics, like the slit finish like there is on all of the 2G series. So obviously this is the 16 metre section, and on then to the 14.5 metre sections and the 13 metre section. They're all with the graphics on. The rest of the pole wise, as you can see, is all black with just the yellow accents for the guiders alignment system, just to make sure your poles are as stiff as it can be, all the way down to the bottom. So what I'll do for you now is I'll set it up at 16 metres on the roller so you can have a look, and then I will set the 13 metre side by side comparison, and you can have a look at the 401 at the side of it. Right guys, so we've got it laid out on the rollers. This is at 16 metres. I'll just zoom up the pole. So if you are buying this pole, you're looking around £1,000 mark. Brand new, unless you're finding it second hand or on a good deal. So it's not light, if I'm honest. At 16 it'll be fishable, but it's not obviously like in this range of 16 metres. It's not going to be super light. So we'll just have a sideways perspective on it before getting the 401 out. But it's not too bad, there's not too much sag there. On the tip, I mean obviously it's supported by a centre roller, but not too bad. Let's get the 13 metres of the 401 at the side of it, and we can have a look at that in comparison. Right, so we've got the 401 and the 501 right next to each other, and I know this is a deliberation that a lot of people have. Do I spend the extra cash to get a 501? Now, if you have that spare cash, you can now get a 401. To be honest, I got mine for 600, so you are looking at an extra £400 just for a 16 metre section. And personally, not a lot of us fish a 16 metres. So it's just whether you think that you need that 16 metres, but to be honest, There is difference, absolutely. I will try and zoom in on the tip of both poles, so you can see it. If you see that on the right hand side, the 401 sits slightly lower than the 501, which is obviously the wind's blowing this, but obviously you can see the 501 is stiffer. I've picked both of them up. In grammage wise, there's not much there, to be honest, between them both. Response wise, as 501 slightly quicker response, but again, it goes up to, if you've got the cash, then go for it. But I reduce because I don't fish 16 metres enough to warrant the price. But you know, it's a great pole, is the 501, so it's just, that's a complete and utter decision that is up to yourself. So obviously I'll scan right up to the front. I'll try and hold them a bit stiller, but you can see there that the 401 is the nearer one on the right hand side, and the 501 to the left. You can see very clearly that there's probably an inch difference in the stiffness going towards the favour of the 501, and so that's a little bit of a comparison at 13 metres. Comparably at 14.5 is very similar in regards to stiffness, and obviously at 16 metres there is no comparison with the 401, because obviously it's 14.5. So we'll join up with Matt in a little bit and see how he gets on with it. It's his first session fishing with it, so he'll be able to give you some real feedback about it being sort of brand new, and how he gets on with it. Okay guys, see you in a bit.
Okay. First glance, looks like it's not looked.
Oh, slip up. Nice fish. Is that power kit, Matt, or
Yeah, it's power kit.
does it feel like to catch on top kit? Do you have confidence in it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's my favourite type of pole fishing, to be honest. Top kit or top kit plus 1 or 2. Yeah, it's the first one that I've had from down edge. It is actually foul looked.
Just on chin.
It's not very happy about it.
What made you choose to go from M50?
I think I just lost confidence in it. I've had quite a few broken sections, mainly through poor handling, to be honest, but the main difference that I can tell between the two is just the wall strength. With the M50 in your hand, it kind of felt like the walls were just really thin, and if you gave it a little bit too much of a squeeze that you were going to crack it, and I did that a couple of times. So it's fair to say that the 501 does definitely feel like a more robust pole. Yeah, it doesn't feel any heavier than the M50.
No. So I mean, we had a feel at 13 metres. What did you think to it at 13?
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with it. I've been fishing out to the island for probably an hour or so at 13 metres, and it felt fine. There has been a bit of a crosswind today, and there weren't really any problem holding it in that wind. So yeah, overall I'm pleased with it.
What do you think to packaging? The package and things that sort of come with it?
Yeah, really pleased. Every section comes with side pullers, which is good, and that's one thing that it does have over the M50. Because the M50, the match kits that were on that, they weren't drilled. So you either had the choice of having the wall strengthened on the top kits if you wanted to use some side pullers, or using a puller bung with it. So that is one thing that this is that it has over the M50.
I suppose a lot of people want to know the difference between the 401 and the 501 in regards to buying it and spending that extra money. Do you warrant this extra money if they're not going to fish 16 metres? I mean, you got it on a deal, which a lot cheaper than list. If you're going to pay list price, though.
Yeah, to be honest, if I was paying full price for it, I wouldn't have gone for the 501. Purely and simply because the amount of times that I'm going to fish at 16 metres is probably slim to none. I never actually fished the M50 at 16 metres. I fished it at 14.5 quite a few times, and it was pretty good at that sort of distance. But I'm fairly new to pole fishing. I'm not particularly confident at holding a pole at 14.5, and certainly not at 16. I need to get a lot of practicing before I start getting the benefit of fishing it at 16 metres.
I think personally, I'm thinking if you want 16 metres, really, you're looking at your 701 upwards, aren't you? Really,
yeah. To
get best benefit out of it.
Yeah. I mean, again, there is a big jump in price, but you get what you pay for.
Yeah. So I mean, Matt's just going to have just a little fished out edge. We'll catch up with him in a second, see if he'll get 30 metres out just to see what it looks like. He's got a bit of a crosswind and see what it looks like.
So fishing at Owl Barn Fisheries in South Kirby. Just shipped out, fishing just off the island at 13 metres. There is a bit of a crosswind, which is a little bit breezy, so at times you do need to keep a good hold on the pole. But it feels really stiff at 13 metres. The bites have been a little bit few and far between, to be honest, today. Just fishing on maggot, just off the island. It's probably 18 inches, 2 foot deep, with a fairly steep bank. I think because I'm on maggot, I'm getting plagued by the silvers. There is a fairly good head of hide on this lake. I've had one or two a little bit earlier on, but I probably need to switch back to pellet if I'm going to be targeting the carp or the F1s. Early doors I was pinging pellets across to that far bank, but I've eased off on the feed. Purely and simply because I wasn't getting the bites.
Yeah.
Right, so we've just ducked into what feels like a fairly nice fish. Unfortunately, it's scooted off around the back of the island. I'll lift the elastic so you can see whereabouts it's going. I probably should have been a little bit more well prepared and had a couple of extra sections out. So I'm fishing this at 13.
How does it feel now when under pressure?
Yeah, it feels good, yeah. It's
handled that alright though, didn't it?
Yeah, it did.
No problem. What are you fishing with now?
Just moved on to a soft pellet, an expander, down to a size 18 hook. It's a fairly light rig that I'm using. It's an 011 rig.
Quite a light elastic.
Yeah, it is quite a light elastic. It's one of the elite elastics. I'm not actually sure what strength this one is. I think it might be a 10 to 12 or 10 to 14. It's the Elite Blue.
Not giving up, is it?
No, it's heading. Oh, no, we are pulled out.
Well, at least you got a bit of feedback of how it feels under pressure.
Yeah, let's see if it's
possibly foul looks.
Yeah, it could have been. Yeah, it's see if I've still got the hook. No, it's actually snapped me off just below the hook. So possibly fishing a bit light there. I mean, it did take a last minute dash. But yeah, it's good to get a carp on it. I've had a few F1s on it today, but nothing of any real size. So yeah, I certainly feel a little bit more confident next time I hook into something a bit bigger. Like I say, it is on a power kit. the rig that I'm using is a particularly light one, probably a little bit too light to be targeting the carp today, but I actually came more in mind of targeting the F1s and the Ide. So as it's approaching the end of the day, I think that's it now for me and my fishing. In terms of the pole, really quite pleased with how it's performed. I guess in terms of some feedback, there's a lot of people that's been asking questions around, you know, what's the difference between the 301, the 401, the 501, and obviously kind of the main thing is the length of the poles. What my advice would be is, you know, if you were going to be fishing at 16 metres on a regular basis, 501 is an entry level pole. If you're not going to be fishing it at 16 metres, then I wouldn't invest in a 501. I'd be thinking more along the lines of a 401, which obviously does go to 14.5 metres. In terms of it being a good pole at 16 metres, it is entry level, but it is a good pole. I felt really confident using it, and probably when I don't have a wind like this on a different venue, I will be trying it out at 16 metres to give it a go, and potentially we'll get that on camera too for you. So thanks for watching. You can find us on Facebook, give us a like. Hope you enjoyed the video. We'll speak to you all soon.